It's a tale that has echoed through the ages, a timeless story of an underdog facing impossible odds, of unwavering faith against terrifying might. This is the story of David and Goliath, or as they are known in this particular telling, Dawood and Jalut.
Just let that sink in for a moment. This single line really gets to the heart of a nation on its knees. Can you imagine a people so broken, so completely defeated, that their very spirit was wounded? This is where our story begins, with the people of Bani Israel.
Now, to really understand the miracle that's about to unfold, we have to grasp the sheer depth of their suffering. This wasn't just about losing a battle, it was about losing their identity, about an entire generation being born into hopelessness.
I mean, look at this. This was a systematic dismantling of a people. They were kicked out of their own homes, their sons were killed, and they were made slaves in the very land their ancestors had walked free. The sources are crystal clear. Every single battle they fought, they lost. They were scattered, broken, and had absolutely nothing left.
So in their darkest hour, they turned to their prophet with a single, desperate plea. They didn't ask for riches or an easy life. They asked for a leader, just someone, anyone, to unite them, to give them a banner to fight under and a chance to get their dignity back.
And you know what? A king was appointed, but he was not at all what they expected. This is the story of Talut, or Saul, a leader chosen not by the people, but for the people. And right here, this is the central conflict. The people wanted a king who looked the part, right? Someone rich from a fancy royal family, someone with status. But God's choice, Talut, was a poor man from a humble family. He was chosen for what was inside, his wisdom and his physical strength, not for what was in his pockets. This moment established a huge principle for them. Real leadership isn't something you inherit with money and a famous last name. It's a quality given by a higher wisdom to those who actually have the guts to stand up, no matter where they come from. Okay, so they have a king, they've gathered an army, and for the first time in a long time, there's a little flicker of hope. But before they could even think about facing their enemy, this new army had to face a test of their own, a test of pure discipline and faith. Just try to picture the scene. Thousands of men, finally united, marching for a real cause. They are fired up, they want revenge, they want freedom, but their first real battle wasn't going to be with swords and shields, it was going to be with themselves. And here was the test. As they're marching through this scorching desert, throats totally parched, they come across a river. Talut gives the command, do not drink from it. The only water you can have is what you can scoop up in a single handful. Sounds simple, right? But for a man dying of thirst, that's an almost impossible command to follow. And the result? It was staggering. Out of those thousands of soldiers, only 313 passed the test. The rest? They just gave in to their thirst, their discipline completely gone. All that was left was this tiny, faithful, but seriously outnumbered group of men. So this small band of 313 is now about to face the real terror. The time for tests was over. The final showdown was here, and it wasn't going to be decided by armies, but by two champions. On one side, you have Jalut, or Goliath. The source describes him as a moving iron mountain. Not just a big guy, a force of nature. His footsteps literally shook the ground, and just the sight of him was enough to make soldiers freeze in pure terror. And on the other side, well, here comes our unlikely hero, a young shepherd named Dawood, or David. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't some great warrior. His only real weapon, the one he'd been practicing with while protecting his sheep from lions, was his unshakable faith. I mean, just look at the contrast. It couldn't be more dramatic. Jalut rolls up with heavy armor, a huge sword, and pure, arrogant power. Dawood shows up with faith, humility, and a simple shepherd sling. This wasn't just a battle of might versus might. It was a clash between two completely different sources of power. What happened next would become one of the most legendary moments in all of history. One single action, one moment of pure belief, was about to decide the fate of two entire nations. As this young shepherd walks onto the battlefield, Jalut just laughs out loud. He looks at this kid with his little toy of a weapon and roars with contempt. And this quote, it captures his fatal mistake. He saw the shepherd, but he completely missed the faith that was driving him. And here's how it all went down. Jalut is out there mocking the army, daring anyone to fight him. The soldiers of Bani Israel are frozen, terrified. But then, Dawood steps forward.
He actually refuses the king's armor, saying his God is all the protection he needs. He puts a stone in his sling, runs forward, and just lets it fly.
And then, silence. An eerie quiet just falls over the entire battlefield. The dust settles, the sound of that single stone hitting its mark echoes, and the Iron Mountain, the symbol of unbeatable power, comes crashing to the ground.
The fall of that giant was so much more than just the death of one man. It was the birth of a new idea. It was a powerful lesson for everyone watching about where real strength, true power actually comes from. The results were immediate. Seeing their champion fall, Jalut's huge army completely panicked and ran. And the faithful 313, their courage now on fire, charged and completely overwhelmed them. And on that day, a shepherd boy who put all his trust in God became a king. So ultimately, the core message of the story is this. Victory isn't about having the biggest army or the sharpest sword. According to this narrative, real honor and power are gifts, granted to those who have true faith. It's proof that the humble can be lifted up and the arrogant can be brought down. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about. In a world that's always valuing size, status, and brute force, this story asks us to look a little deeper. It asks us to consider those times in our own lives when the thing that seems like our greatest weakness, maybe our humility, our smallness, our lack of worldly power, might just be the source of our most incredible and unexpected strength.